Yo, what is up, everyone?
What's
Welcome
up, guys?
in.
Yeah, what's up?
Up top. That's for the Titans beating the Broncos yesterday, 13-10, and this is the episode where we're going to talk about it. For those of you new to Titans Tube, this is our podcast recap, reaction, analysis, whatever other word you want to throw in there. This is that episode where pretty much we just sit down and give some of our raw thoughts and raw take on the game, hit some key notes, some key stats, and just break down what we thought of the game, good and bad for both teams. First subject we're going to talk about today is the Aqib Talib, Harry Douglas situation. But before we get into that, just want to say that if you ever have any questions for us about the game that you want us to answer live on video in this podcast, just tweet it at us at Titans_Tube_YT after the game, or hit us up on our Instagram, or you can leave it on YouTube or something, and we'll answer it. And then also, if you don't want to watch the whole video because it does kind of get kind of long, we always leave the sections and timestamps in the description. So you can go down there and click on the different sections if you want to hear about our defense or about just Mariota and his play or something like that. We leave the timestamps in the description. Okay, now into the episode. Just wanted to get that off my back.
Very nice. You did a good job.
Let's talk about what Denver seems to be more upset about than the actual loss. Most of the Denver players, but don't want to put words in their mouth. But the Harry Douglas, Aqib Talib, Chris Harris situation. Obviously, everyone knows. We're not going to show you the play because you've seen it probably 100 times. Harry Douglas on the run play, cut block, throws a cut block at Chris Harris in the knee. He ends up getting slightly hurt. It wasn't bad. And then the next play, Aqib Talib takes it out on them and gets the penalty. Sportsmanlike conduct. It starts a brawl. So, Justin.
Very nice.
Do you think Harry Douglas's play was dirty or illegal, first of all, I guess?
It was legal, as all the sports analysts that, if you've been watching or listening to anybody, it is a legal block. It's been in the game since ever. But for the fact that it was away from the play and it was, a low chop block, it can be seen as dirty. And you know what? From just because the play was happening away from where Harry Douglas was, I think it was just unnecessary. And taking a shot that low on a guy, I mean, Chris Harris isn't that big of a guy anyway. He's 5'10", maybe 200 pounds. I don't think there's any reason for Harry Douglas to have gone that low on him. I mean, he could have just as easily just tried to block him normally, just like up high. But yeah, this whole situation reminds me of what happened almost 15 years ago now, if you can remember.
I can't even remember back that far.
I don't remember what I had for dinner last night. But I remember this. When Warren Sapp, when he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Green Bay Packers, there was an interception, and Warren Sapp, completely away from the play, blindsides Chad Clifton, I think it was, for the Green Bay Packers offensive lineman. And that caused a huge, big
I remember that.
Yeah. It was huge. It was a huge issue and debate that people talked about. Like, it was completely away from the play, and everybody thought it was a cheap shot. And I mean, I agree. I mean, the block that Warren Sapp made was completely within the rules. He hit him high, and I don't know, it was kind of like
led with his shoulder
up in the chest area, and just completely laid him out and decked him out. But in this situation, I almost think it's more dangerous, because going for the knees, you can't mess with the knees. That can be a career-ending injury, and so I didn't like that look from Harry Douglas. I think it's a bad look, and he doesn't have a history of being a dirty player or anything like that. I think he was just trying to make a play, trying to play hard, and he just made a bad judgment and dove for the knee.
Yeah, well, the rules have changed a lot in those 15 years or so since the Warren Sapp. So
I hope he wasn't trying to hurt him, though. Well, I hope that wasn't his intent, because that's bad.
Do you think he should have been penalized, or people were calling for an ejection? Because then I remember after the next play where Talib actually did straight up, go after Harry Douglas, a lot of people, especially on social media, were saying Talib should have been ejected, and then the Broncos fans were firing back saying that Harry Douglas should have been ejected or at least penalized for the play before.
Well, the play was it was a legal block. He wouldn't have gotten penalized for that. I think he should get fined, probably, just to kind of, for the NFL to say, this is a very dangerous play. It had nothing to do with where the ball or the play was on the field. So if he gets a fine, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a bad play. I don't think it belongs in the sport. Maybe the rule should be looked at again to where those kind of blocks are illegal. I don't know what the solution is. But as far as Aqib Talib, I think he I mean, he stood up for his guy who, you know, went for the cheap shot, and I can't really fault him for that. I don't think he's wrong for reacting that way, but I think his reaction and starting a brawl isn't the correct way to go about it at the same time.
I agree. I think if you're a Broncos fan watching this, wanting to hear a Titans fan reaction, we deal with possible ejections probably a lot more than you guys do. Though I know Talib and Ward have been in danger some just because of like Taylor Lewan and all his emotions that he brings. And he was ejected earlier in the year, and it made me think of this play because when Talib came after Douglas, I was, I'm pro that in football because I remember when Lewan got ejected, it was because Mariota had just taken that cheap shot after the play was blown dead. Someone came to the line, knocked him over. Lewan came back and got in his face. He ended up getting ejected because he hit the ref on that play, which was... I don't agree with that, but I do like when players stand up, especially for quarterbacks with their teammates. I think you have to do that. You have to set that standard on, but you have to do it within the confines of the game. And I feel like Talib went a little too far. And honestly, I think if I were a ref, I probably would have thrown Talib out for his actions. Just based on what I saw, starting a huge brawl.
It was big,
I don't see how anyone doesn't get ejected after that. Maybe just eject Harry Douglas and Talib. It's hard to see exactly what was going on at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if punches were thrown or what exactly was going on. There was a lot of people around there.
It's hard to start a big brawl like that and then no one gets ejected from that on either side. I would have probably just ejected both parties, but I'm not a referee. But
I think the refs handled it okay, though. I mean, the brawl didn't last too long, and it got dispersed pretty quickly. They only got Talib for the 15-yard penalty, and that was it. That was the only thing that came out of that play. And I think we ended up getting a field goal out of that drive, and that was it. I mean,
I would just say that Douglas's play was legal. Yes, the block is legal. I think and I don't think it was dirty either. I mean, it's a football move. People, they cut block all the time as long as the guy is not engaged with another player, especially, wide receivers are not very good at blocking up top anyways. So he goes, he dives at the knee. And if you go back and look at it, I heard Harry Douglas after the game talk about, him and Chris Harris were looking at each other. So he decided to try and, take him out of the play so he wouldn't make a play, possibly. I mean, Harry Douglas had his back to Derrick Henry, who was carrying the ball, so he didn't know if he had been tackled yet or not. The play was still live when Douglas did it, and you can see they make eye contact, and then Douglas kind of, dives for his legs, not super aggressively or anything. And Chris Harris does end up getting injured, but it was kind of weak. I'm really glad he's not seriously hurt. We do
for sure.
want to say that.
He's a fantastic player.
I love him. I love Talib too. I love their fire. I love some of the top cornerbacks in the league. But I would say it was more of a cheap shot just because it was away from the ball, and most likely Chris Harris and Harry Douglas were not going to have an input on the outcome of that play. But like you said, Harry Douglas has not been known as a cheap or dirty player throughout his 9 seasons, either with the Titans or the Falcons. If you're part of any of those franchises, he's not known as that player. So I think he's isolated.
Talker. I think he's a trash talker a little bit though, but nothing like that. Nothing like a dirty play, a football play on the field. I don't think he's a dirty player like that or anything.
Yeah. So I expect him to get a fine. Maybe. I don't think it's going to be anything significant. I think a Talib will get more of a fine, honestly, and probably warranted too. But that I guess that's all my thoughts on that.
I mean, overall, I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't like how this is what everyone is talking about in the media, and instead of the important thing, and that whole situation, it didn't really have an effect on the outcome of the game. I mean, that happened in the second quarter. Titans got a field goal out of it. After that drive, stalled later.
Now, if Harris had been seriously injured on the play, it might have been even bigger than it is. He wasn't, which was. I mean, thank God he's not. I don't like seeing players get seriously injured on either side of the ball for any team. That goes for the Colts too. Oh wow, that was hard to say. But I'm just saying. But cheap shots like that happen all the time in football, especially, offensive line versus defensive line. We can't see what's going on in there. That one was just isolated away from the play, out in the open, so we all saw it happen. But it was a legal play, and Harry Douglas just isn't known as a dirty player, so don't hold it against him. Isolated incident. I think we should move forth from it.
I want to focus on the important things of this game, and that was the clean play that happened, the non-controversial stuff, and what resulted in a Tennessee Titans win over the Denver Broncos. The final score 13-10. A really low-scoring affair. I actually predicted a 17-14 final, so I got kind of close. I had the right margin of victory.
Giving yourself props.
Yeah, I'm just kind of showing myself love. I haven't predicted hardly anything right in Titans games so far.
Very good game. Very good game. Both sides, both teams. Let's not. Crazy to think about how much the NFL changes over the course of a year. Titans were the worst team in the league last year, and we just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. That's how much 1 year can change a complete teams completely. So,
and with this win, the Titans are stacking up some pretty solid wins so far this year. Just real quick, we've beaten the Denver Broncos just now. We beat the Green Bay Packers 7-6, who looks like. That's a tongue twister. That they've turned it around after getting blown out by us.
They just put it to Seattle, which is huge.
That is huge. That's very surprising. Good for them. We also beat the Detroit Lions, a 9-4 team. That was a kind of a funky game with a lot of crazy penalties, but we did beat the Detroit Lions.
Win's a win.
We also beat the Miami Dolphins, who's 8-5. Yes, they just lost Ryan Tannehill, so that's a huge blow to their.
Not seriously.
Huge blow to their playoff hopes, though. He might still miss the rest of the year.
Yeah, but he's going to require surgery.
Maybe 2 games.
Require surgery.
So the Titans have added up some very nice wins this year. This season is fabulous. It's fantastic. This is the best Titan season, I think, since 2008, for sure, since we went to the playoffs last.
Oh, yeah. And this game yesterday was the biggest game we had played probably since that season. And we played. We came out and we played.
We did. We showed up to play for sure. And just watching it on TV, we didn't go to the game. We didn't even watch it on TV together. But just looking at the game, it felt like a playoff kind of atmosphere kind of game. And that's the first time that's happened in a Titans game since 2008. I just said it.
2008.
So it's beautiful to see this turnaround. There, you can kind of sense this culture change and this mindset change. That this is a kind of game that I felt like we would have lost in the past.
We would have been blown out in the past.
And we've said that for many wins this year for the Titans. Is that we've won some games that we would lose in the past. So a huge turnaround that we're seeing here with this franchise, and it's super exciting.
Super exciting.
All right, should we get into the game?
Let's do it.
I do have some key stats that I do want to throw out, and a point that I want to make is that even though we've entered this crazy pass-happy, people getting obsessed with quarterbacks with big arms and a huge passing game, the running game in the NFL and football in general will never go out of style. A strong running game is always important to have, and we saw that today because the Denver Broncos outpassed us through the air 330-73. And those numbers include yards lost and sacks.
Okay.
So these are team stats. So 330-73. That is a huge margin in the passing category. But we destroyed them in the rushing game, 180-18. That's 10 times more. 10 times more rushing yards than the Denver Broncos.
I know we talked about this yesterday. We were talking about the difference in stats, those categories, and if you had just told me the passing stats of after the game, I would have thought we lost by 40 points. And you turn around and you're like, well, what if I just told you the rushing stats from the game? I'd be like, well, then we would have won by 30 or something.
Right.
But that's football for you, I guess.
That is, and a lot of this was controlled and dominated in the first half, and I think that first half really shows what the identity that these coaches were going for at the beginning of the season and everything kind of coming together. I thought the game plan was perfect coming in. I mean, we jumped out on top of the Broncos, running the ball down their throats. It was beautiful to see. We completely controlled the clock. I've got another stat here. There were 2 separate first half drives that combined for over 14 minutes of time of possession. We controlled the ball for almost an entire quarter in 2 drives. We were completely controlling the game, and I felt like we could have been up and should have been up 17-0. We got some no-call pass interferences on the Broncos' defense that I felt like could have been called, but I thought the refs at least called things against both teams fairly well. But on that particular drive, I was a little frustrated. I felt like they got away with some pass interference. But we did go up 13-0 at half after a perfectly executed game plan, I thought.
Oh, yeah. No, spot on. The only thing that worried me was we didn't, if you looked at our dominance in the first half, we weren't putting up the points that I thought we would need to hold the game, even if we came out and laid the dud in the second half, which we kind of did. Took a little too much air out of the ball, but let's focusing on the good stuff in the first half. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really strong, powerful statement drives. I mean, our opening drive, 9 plays, 7 of those were rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have to throw the ball, and we just pounded it down their throats, controlled time of possession, and took care of business. And then, turned around, they got a 3 and out on their first possession on the kickoff. We're stopping them on defense too. You couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything going, and even when they broke their first big play on Justin Forsett's carry, he got at least 10 yards down the field before he fumbled the ball, which completely killed their drive and momentum there. So that was a huge early turnover.
First forced fumble of the year.
Hard to believe. It
14 weeks in, but hey, I will take it. Better late than never. You couldn't have asked for a better situation in the first half because we knew that their strength of their defense was their secondary and pass rush, and if we could... Since we were running the ball so effectively, we didn't even have to worry about trying to pass the ball. It was like the most perfect situation, how it worked out in the first half. I was like, man, this is glorious, what I'm watching right here.
Thank goodness that was working for us because we couldn't pass the ball to save our lives.
No, and we knew that was a possibility. I mean, those cornerbacks, those pass rushers,
completely
they are
shut down.
Top in the league by far, and I think they just boosted their stats incredibly after this game because we only threw for 70 yards net total.
Yeah, net total 73 yards. Not that great, but excuse me. I don't think. Thank you.
Get it out, little buddy.
Thank you. I don't think though Mariota played as poorly as his stats suggest. He had a lot of throwaways. I just feel like he honestly couldn't find anything open downfield, and he didn't want to force anything. Even though he did force some throws that were a little scary.
The one, I think it was a 3rd and long where he forced it into triple coverage to Tajay Sharp, or as the announcers were calling him Tahay. Like, come on.
Did they really?
Yeah. They were actually mispronouncing a few names yesterday.
Tahay.
Just a little throw at them, whoever it was. I think it was Ian Scott and Dan Fouts.
Ian Eagle.
Ian Eagle, was that him?
I think so. And I know Dan Fouts is the other guy.
But that was the one I thought he forced the most. But no, you're spot on. He was 6 of 20 on the day for 88 yards.
Pretty pedestrian. I don't know when the last time a Titans quarterback didn't throw for that few yards.
But that's the thing, we didn't have to throw the ball. We didn't have to especially rely on him throwing the ball, which is a perfect situation. And I thought, he had a lot of throwaways, which was he wasn't trying to force anything because
there's nothing open.
Yeah, nothing open, so he would just live to play another down, which is perfect. You try to force something against an incredible defense like Denver, they're going to turn that into points. They're going to make something happen out of it for their benefit if you try to force and press the situation. That's what I was looking for.
I know what you mean.
And Mariota kept his cool the entire game, even playing against the number 1 defense in the league and the defending Super Bowl champs. I thought he played a good game.
He ran the ball
stats
well.
Don't tell. Yes, ran the ball smart too. Smart decisions when he decided to pull it down and run with it and slide.
And the best thing I think for sure is in the stat category for Mariota is 0 turnovers.
Oh yeah.
We didn't turn the ball over. We won the turnover battle 2-0. Got 2 fumble recoveries. One of them at the end to seal the game.
Game winner.
As we all know. Oh, thank goodness Avery Williamson. You know what? I looked at Avery Williamson's career stats. That is the first forced fumble he's had in his career after being in his 3rd year. It couldn't have come at a better time. You'd think that an inside linebacker, your leading tackler, would have forced a fumble at this point, but it is what it is. He got that forced fumble when we needed it the most.
I mean, no one on our defense is really known at this point for forcing turnovers or getting strips or interceptions.
Man, quick.
Mariota.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll bring that up later.
Yeah.
Staying on Mariota, not turning the ball over. You know what? This game actually reminded me. This kind of was playing out the exact same way that Week 1 against Minnesota should have played out, minus Mariota's 2 fumbles and interceptions that went for touchdowns for the Vikings. If we had taken care of the ball like we did in this game, we would have won the Minnesota game, I think, in the same
very same
way.
fashion. Yeah, that's a great point.
So it just shows the growth of this team and Mariota and taking care of the football and the importance of that. And those throwaways that he has, those are really good plays. I mean, no reason to force anything and give them a turnover and an easy scoring opportunity.
And I don't want to, belittle his day, but he made, when he needed to make a throw, he got the throw. I know he had a long pass to Delanie Walker, I think first or second drive, to keep it going on a 3rd down, and then the end pass to Rashard Matthews.
That was one of the biggest plays of the game.
One-on-one on Talib to extend the drive. I think we ended up punting, though, to well, obviously we ended up punting, but that still just took more time off the clock. We got another first down off that. Those were critical throws in clutch situations that he made.
Yeah, for sure. That second half throw to Rashard Matthews, I feel like, was one of the most important plays of the game, because in the second half, I don't think we had gotten literally anything going on offense. I know on the first drive of the second half, we rushed fairly well, got a few first downs, but the drive stalled and we punted back to him. And after that, I felt like Mariota, they were calling more pass plays whenever it was kind of unnecessary, uncalled for. I think they were trying to get the passing game going really for no reason, and it never got going through the entire game. Yet we'd had some like 2nd and 10s. Even on 1st and 10s, I feel like we called pass plays, and that just went for incompletions. And I was like, I feel like as well as we were running the ball and how much we ran the ball, I feel like we could have done it more and should have done it more.
Yeah, we got at least 4 to 5 yards every single carry. I mean, if not more. And I love the diversity of it. It was kind of like a Murray, Henry. You know, both of them looking extremely strong. Murray looked great after the bye week. Didn't see any issues with his toe. He didn't look timid. He looked
like the Murray from earlier we saw this year. Definitely had the bounce back in his step.
The bounce, the attack, running north and south, not going east and west. And then Henry, man, every single time I feel like he touches the ball and then falls forward for 5 yards. I don't know what it's
he gets
awesome
the ball and
see.
just gets tackled immediately, and he's 5 yards down the field. Next thing you know,
I thought in the second half we ran the ball. We still ran the ball pretty well. That was well in the first half, but when we got to some critical third down situations, we always reverted and tried to rely upon the pass, which we hadn't established in the game. We had already established the run, but we hadn't gotten anything going in the pass game, and we tried to sit back and rely on the pass to convert some third and shorts, third and medium distances, and obviously it didn't work out, which kind of led to them getting back in the game. And I wish we kind of would have stuck with the run, even on the 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, with how well we were playing. How non-existent our passing game had been up to that point. I would have liked to see a little more runs there in that situation.
Yeah.
Those situations.
Yeah, definitely agree.
But Murray looked great. Henry looked great. Love him.
Great. Mariota looked fast as always.
Had some
clutch first down runs.
I mean, you said
in the first half,
180 yards rushing. Denver, their rush defense was 28th in the league, giving up like 140, and we beat that by 40 yards. So.
Yeah, on 42 attempts. I mean, we ran the ball 42 times, and that's what we felt like we had to do to have a chance in this game. But I want to talk about the second half, because we've seen this a few times now, where we jump out to a lead and then we start to kind of get a little bit sluggish, and we allow the team, our opponent, to get back into the game, and we start letting the game get away from us a little bit, letting the Broncos in this case, back into the game. I don't know if it's just halftime adjustments, and if we feel like we can sit on a 13-point lead with how our defense had been playing up to that point, but I mean, as an NFL team is bound to do, they make adjustments and they start, making plays, moving the ball down the field. I do have Denver's second half possessions, which kind of shows that they progressively were moving the ball. In the second half, they had some really successful drives. They had 32 yards in their first drive. They punted. Then when they got the ball back next, which, by the way, in between all of their drives, our offense is going 3 and out and just giving them chance after chance after chance, which was very frustrating to see. But they went 69 yards on their next drive, and then they turned the ball over on downs on the 4th and goal, which was huge. They were inside our 10-yard line. Huge. So that was a huge stop for the defense. They definitely bent hard, but did not break on that drive. Our offense goes 3 and out after we got the ball back, and that after a terrible special teams play and then a penalty, I think, on us, they get the ball back on our 26-yard line and go down 26 yards on that drive. Gave them a super short field. They scored the touchdown. Next drive, we gave the ball back to them. They go 39 yards, get a field goal. So you see their offense is moving the ball pretty well against our defense in the second half. Then the very last drive was their final drive, where they had moved the ball 38 yards and then had the fumble, gave the ball back to us. So they were moving the ball. I felt like
the momentum had obviously shifted in the second half back to the Broncos.
And going back to that Mariota pass to Matthews, I felt like that was why that was such a huge play, is that we got a huge gain, we flipped the field, then another play of the game, which when we ended up punting it, Trey McBride downing the ball at the 2-yard line, I thought was one of the biggest plays of the game right after.
It's kind of like a low-key play of
pass.
the game, though, not a lot of people are talking about. But, man, that was critical. We ended up getting the forced turnover on the forced fumble, but even if we hadn't, making them drive 97 yards, was it on the 3 officially or something like that?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Making them just forcing them to go, 95-plus yards if they want to even tie up the game is
For sure.
Incredible.
I feel like if we didn't have that play to Rashard Matthews to flip the field and punt it to him, or if the punt at the end of that drive and went for a touchback, I thought at the very least this game was probably going to go into overtime.
I mean, if they'd gone for a touchback, they would only need 30 yards or something to get in Brandon McManus' field goal range to send it to overtime.
60-yard field goals. Yeah. He has a huge leg. So, yeah, I felt the game would definitely at least would have gone into overtime had there been a touchback, or if, like I said, Rashard Matthews, that play didn't happen for 28 yards. The huge momentum or a field position flip at the very end of the game that was crucial for the Titans to close the game out.
And that was Rashard Matthews' only catch in the game, which, I mean, there was only 6 passes through him.
And we barely got that completion. It was a beautiful, perfectly thrown ball by Mariota because Talib was in great coverage.
He was blanketed by Talib right there. And Talib was already mad about the whole Chris Harris thing. Good thing that wasn't thrown to Harry Douglas. Harry Douglas might have got his head taken off. But
probably so. But yeah, huge play at the end of the game there. Still, though, I mean, letting the game get away like that. We got help by the Broncos. Benny Fowler dropped a touchdown pass late that would have tied the game at 13 before the extra point to give them the lead. I don't know what else. They had some big penalties against them too that I thought affected some momentum.
We also affected ourselves a little bit. I thought Delanie Walker got 2 critical offensive pass interference calls on pig plays, which is becoming more and more. I feel like every single game you watch it, you see those routes run, drawn up, and executed perfectly. Sometimes not so perfectly.
More of a rub.
Yeah, they were talking about it on the TV yesterday. You can't. Delaney was straight up picking the guy like it's in basketball. Obviously, that's going to be called. It called back 7 points, cost us 7 points on a touchdown. And I think another third down made it like a 3rd and short to a 3rd and long, which we ended up punting on. But critical plays, is defending Super Bowl champions. We're going to need all the points we can get. So really shooting ourselves in the foot right there. I don't know if that's need the coach's technique a little more, but I feel like we hear it enough just watching football about how to run that play correctly based on your technique on how you're supposed to rub off and try to not hit the player. Worst comes to worst, just let the guy by him if you think you're going to hit him because it's going to be offensive pass interference if you hit him. Yeah,
and both of those penalties when Delaney committed the fouls were huge because they brought back big plays. I can't remember the second one. I thought it was like a first down or a good play that we had made, but it got called back.
Well, the touchdown getting called back was huge because at that point we would have made it 17-0. I really thought we needed as many points as we could get because I didn't think Denver's
counted in this.
I didn't think
we needed every.
Yeah, I didn't think Denver's offense was going to stay asleep how they had in the first half. I definitely thought they were going to pick it up, and they did. And so that was a big shot to the foot, in my opinion.
And it's kind of uncharacteristic.
And he'd already been called for it once in the game by that point.
I was going to say it's kind of uncharacteristic. Delanie Walker's a veteran, been in the league for 11 years, and I'm sure he's run those routes 100 times in his career. So you would hope he would know what is allowed and not allowed when he's doing that, but. Yeah, anyway, penalties were killers for both teams, I felt like.
But we held on.
Yeah, held on for dear life, and man, it was close. Timely forced fumble.
So what do you think? Like, what happens at halftime? Because this, like you said, this has happened multiple games to the Titans this year. Luckily, we're able to pull them out, which is
I think the Bears and the Browns, 2 of the worst teams in the league that we let come back.
The Jaguars a little bit. I know we discussed that a little bit last night. That we never felt that game was out of.
It was never.
We thought it was kind of out of reach, even when they started to make a comeback in the fourth.
When we responded to their touchdown in the third quarter, I think it was when we kind of sealed it.
But still, if you look at just kind of the trend of the game, if someone just looked at the trend, that you would see that the Jags really picked it up in the second half, and the Titans kind of went silent. But yeah, multiple games this season where we've come out of halftime after getting a big lead, and then just almost like, obviously you want to take some of the air out of the ball, try to run it. Eat up clock, eat the time of possession, but it's almost like we're taking all the air, and we just want to sit on the ball and then just be happy with like punting it and letting their offense try to do something. And their offenses are doing something.
Very much so. We did very well though against Green Bay. That is an exception where we just kind of we put a foot down on the throats of the Packers and never let them get back in the game, even though their offense was moving the ball and scoring, but we kept scoring as well on top of that. So we would never never let the other team get back in the game. But I think that's something the coaches should realize, that for our offense, whenever we're rolling, don't take the foot off the pedal, because our defense is bound to let the opponent offense get back in the game.
Bound to. I mean,
Bound.
obviously we know our defense is super weak, so it's bound to happen, either first half or second half. If it didn't happen in the first half, well, I bet it's going to happen in the second half, so coaches should realize that.
Yeah, you know what? Either way, this game showed me a lot about this team, because this is I think this is the first game that we won where Mariota didn't really have a good game, you could say. I mean, he didn't have a terrible game, just because watching the game and how it kind of played out. He didn't play terrible. We kind of already touched on that. But our defense, I know we were kind of dogging them a little bit for letting them back in the game, but they really won us the game.
Oh, no.
I mean, bottom line, we allowed 10 points, got 2 turnovers, and 3 sacks. By the way, shout out to Aaron Wallace.
Aaron Wallace, welcome to the NFL, brother.
Getting his first career sack in a super crucial moment, and that's what I was going to bring up earlier that I said I would bring up later, is the strip
Bring
sack.
it up now.
You said something about a strip sack. How in the world did Trevor Seaman hold on to that ball? I thought I was going to have a heart attack, because I thought we were going to get that for sure. You see that ball get knocked out 99 out of 100 times, because he hit him hard on the arm, too.
He's got some big hands right there. Didn't see him coming.
He's wearing those sticky gloves or something.
But yeah, welcome to the NFL, Aaron Wallace.
Yeah.
Perfect time to get your first sack.
Huge play. And he hasn't really played that much for us this year, so that's really nice to see, for him to make a huge impact in his limited time.
No, we're dog. I'm more dogging the offense, I think, for letting them come back, for giving them so many more chances.
The repeated 3 and outs in the second half that our offense has been doing.
I think that's more on the offense in this game, especially because I thought our defense played solid. Honestly, the whole game, only giving up 10 points when I thought the whole second half I felt like the whole second half I was watching the Broncos on our side of the field trying to throw it in the end zone again and again and again. Yeah. And we end up in the game only giving up 10 points. Incredible. Yeah. I mean, we got a turnover on downs in the red zone.
That was huge.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in hindsight, if the Broncos had kicked a field goal whenever they went for it on 4th and goal the first time, they could have kicked a field goal the second time.
Yeah.
And tied it up at 13. But hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah,
they went for it on 4th goal.
Even on several pass breakups, from our cornerbacks who were playing some of that. I know Demarco Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders both had a day, but I think that was expected. I was expecting both of them to, absolutely tear us up. I don't think that would necessarily lead to a win, and it didn't. But I thought our cornerbacks held their own. I mean, Simeon threw it 51 times. We made them one-dimensional. They only rushed the ball 9 times for 18 yards.
I mean, we know Broncos didn't have a good running game coming in, particularly good. They have C.J. Anderson out, but 18 yards is 18 yards. I mean, that's a terrible. Even if you're the worst rushing offense in the NFL, 18 yards is still a bad day for you. It's
pathetic, or it's like the defense just straight up shut it down. So with Simeon throwing 51 times, that their top receivers are going to have a day, and that us even on some of those catches, they had to make incredible catches on 3rd and longs and stuff. Where our defender was there. I know McCourty especially. Late in the game, Demarco Thomas had to make a great diving catch on the 3rd and long to get him in the red zone, which nothing you can do about that. Those are just great plays, and our defense was holding. Valentino Blake, I know he gave up that one long pass to Thomas, but he was in on several pass breakups. I know we dog him a lot here in Titans realm in Nashville and here on the show a few times, but I thought everyone played solid. Sean Sims, man. Wait, that's an NFL player right there. You get dogged on one game against Chicago, worst rated player at your position in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus. You come back, you're the second highest rated player on the Titans against 2 of the top receivers.
That's awesome.
He had himself a great day in coverage.
He did. He had a couple crucial breakups. One in the end zone against Demarco Thomas. The secondary definitely, I think, played as good of a game as we could have hoped for. I mean, they still got their yards, but Bryce McCain had a crucial breakup, getting a finger on the ball, and somebody else did too, where they barely tapped the ball, and it kind of altered its trajectory, and then Emmanuel Sanders ended up dropping it. Even though it still hit him in the hands, the ball kind of spun a little weirdly at the last second after that tip. So a game of inches, really. I mean, we barely got our fingers on some balls, and it was huge.
Even on Emmanuel Sanders' touchdown catch, McCourty was right there. Yeah. Blanket coverage, his hand barely misses the ball, knocking it away.
Was there, and the ball just goes right over it.
So he was in the coverage, in the spot, just great throw and catch by them. Another instance I remember kind of randomly, Wesley Woodyard's knockdown. That was at a big time late in the second half. And we don't really see a lot of knockdowns in in Titans football, which is odd.
Former Bronco.
Yeah.
Getting revenge on his former team.
He said, no, Simeon. That pass ain't going nowhere. I think he did
I
say
heard
that,
him through
actually.
the microphone, yeah.
Yeah. We'll hear him on mic'd up later. That's exactly what he's going to say.
Wesley Woodyard making big plays in the passing game. Knocking down passes, got an interception against the Bears.
I would give MVP of the game on his game ball to the whole defense, honestly.
Yeah. And the front seven, too. I mean, the job they did against the run and the pressure we put on Simeon. I know the Broncos, like we said, don't have the best O-line, but neither do the Bears, and we couldn't touch Matt Barkley. But yeah, we got 3 sacks, stopped their run game, all without our best player on our front seven, Jarrell Casey.
Missed him, man.
Definitely missed you, but we got the job done without him, thank goodness.
I do. I think, a good point of our pass rush, too, was I think obviously Simeon was hurt and missed the last game against the Jags with the foot sprain. I think you could kind of see it because we only got 3 sacks, which, I mean, isn't bad. It's not incredible, but we were forcing him out of the pocket where you could tell his mobility was definitely, hindered by that injury. So he would have to force throws before he was ready, especially when they were trying to press in the second half in the red zone. And I think we were able to. I think that really played into our advantage. So
props to Simeon. He played a good game. He's looking like a pretty good quarterback. I just want to give a shout out real quick to Simeon. He's looking really good and could possibly be the quarterback of the future for that team, but. The poor guy, he's super young in his first year starting, and he really doesn't have a running game, and they're asking Trevor Simeon to do a lot for that offense.
He doesn't have...
He's got a couple good weapons. He's got a couple good receivers, obviously, but the offense is like all on his shoulders pretty much.
Yeah, there is no semblance of a running game right now in Denver, especially this game. It was pathetic, if you ask me, their attempts throwing the ball.
He had a...
It was laughable. No offense to Broncos.
He had
love the Broncos.
Had an admirable performance, though, against a kind of a shoddy O-line and no running game.
Yeah.
But, man, our defense... Probably the best game, I think, that our defense probably had this year.
Definitely.
And we got some contributions from some players that haven't really contributed a whole lot. Well... Yeah, I mentioned Aaron Wallace. Huge play from him. Rashad Johnson finally showing up, and he was in on the Avery Williamson strip, too. He knocked Derby pretty hard as the ball was getting stripped, so he contributed huge to those 2 turnovers. Got a couple Carl Klug sightings. He had a few pressures. He had a really nice tackle on a running play a little bit downfield, I recall, right before the first down marker. But yeah, getting huge stops on third downs, too, especially in the first half for our defense. And that, I think, goes to show you what I was saying earlier, the importance of a running game. Because there were multiple times where the Broncos had a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they opted to pass, and it would go for an incompletion a lot. And they would have to punt the ball, and that's what hurts if you don't have a strong running game or strong confidence in a run game.
Yeah, another shout-out, and you mentioned this yesterday. You pointed it out to me. I just remembered it when I was looking at the stats. Our cornerbacks and secondary tackled extremely well against those big. Demaryius Thomas is a big receiver known for running after the catch, even after contact. And I really only remember one play where I think it was either Thomas or Sanders, and I think it was Cersei who missed the tackle. But it was
on Sanders, yeah.
And he was able to run up the field, not for another extra 15 yards. But even look, our top 3 tacklers: Jason McCourty, Valentino Blake, LaShawn Sims, 2 guys that are pretty new to a lot of playing time.
Our top tacklers were cornerbacks.
Yeah.
So we were allowing them to catch the ball, but they were getting no yards after catch for the most part. We were locking them down. No big plays.
And besides for the one pass to Thomas,
it was like a jump
Blake,
ball.
Other than that, we kept them all in front of us, and our cornerbacks made the tackle. So props to every single one of you guys, man. Yeah. You the real MVP.
You know what? That's John Robinson's message getting through. You're going to perform, or you're going to be on the chopping block.
Speaking of chopping block.
Oh, we're going to talk about Douglas again?
No.
Okay.
Unless anything else you want to say about the defense?
The defense. I definitely don't have anything else to say about Douglas block. It was bad plays. Sorry, Chris Harris.
No.
Hopefully no ill intent.
I was going to say...
what were you going to say?
If we're ready to move on to another quick subject, we have to spend on
props
this.
to the defense.
But I know you wanted to talk about this yesterday. Possibly chopping block Kendall Wright. Ooh. Bro, named inactive before the game because of tardiness. Tardiness in a meeting. I don't know if it was the day before the game or 2 days or earlier that week, but inactive, we had to promote Trey McBride, who ended up making that awesome special teams play, but definitely hurt us in our passing game.
That worked out definitely for Trey McBride to make one of the huge plays that Kendall wouldn't have been on the field for. Yeah, no, for sure. I think we could have definitely used Kendall Wright in this game more than possibly any other game with regards to how well Denver's secondary plays. Yeah, because I feel like Kendall Wright is our receiver that is more skilled, at least, in finding the open spots, getting open, finding separation. He's probably one of our quickest receivers off the ball. Yeah, we definitely could have used him in a game where our receivers were struggling to get open every single pass play.
Yeah, he definitely has his skill set. He has that quickness, the agility to create space in those short little pockets and windows where other receivers don't really have that. And I think that was one effect of our poor passing performance yesterday. I think the sacks Mariota did take, with exception for like the blitz by Shane Ray, where it was kind of all-out blitz, but all the other ones and his throwaways, man, those are just coverage sacks and coverage stuff. Especially yesterday, our receivers just could not create space, and rightfully so. We're playing the best secondary in the league, so Kendall Wright definitely could have helped. So I think it was a huge statement by John Robinson and management to sit Kendall Wright before a game like this.
It's pretty hardcore now. We're very disciplinary.
Yeah.
Very strict here
and we've
now.
speculated this earlier on with Kendall Wright that he could be, partly maybe becoming an issue in that locker room. And I feel like the first time we mentioned that, he had that huge game against the Browns. But he's definitely disappeared after that for the most part.
Yeah, he came up big against the Jaguars, had a couple big plays.
But even then, with Rashard Matthews' emergence, Delanie Walker still being a beast, I kind of feel like
Kendall Wright can do things that they can't. And he could be a very huge asset to the passing game.
Well, DGB could do that too, and Justin Wright brought something our receivers didn't. And Justin Hunter. Sorry.
Yes.
I was thinking of Justin and Kendall Wright and just put them together. But I kind of think this may be Kendall Wright's last year in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I know it's probably a subject for another time, but
he's definitely fallen out of favor a little bit right now just for being the healthy scratch and missing meetings. And if you're on Malarkey and John Robinson's bad side in a contract year at the end of the season.
And I think if they're going to make him, bench him in a game with this much weight on it, defending Super Bowl champions, and a player that his skill set can help us in this situation, like help the team positively, and you decide to bench him, I think that's saying a lot more than what originally, the surface level.
If he's missing meetings, maybe they felt like he wasn't ready to play because he missed the meetings, and so he's not. I don't know what the meetings are about if they talk about the game plan, but if they do,
they probably talk
like
about like Pokemon or pizza or something.
Probably play video games for sure.
But that big knock to the team. We don't want those kind of players on this team. I think John Robinson will clean it up either way. If we decide to keep him, it'll change his attitude. But could have used him yesterday.
Yeah, totally.
Could have used Casey too, but still, props to the D. Props to the D. Props to the D.
What else?
Anything else you got?
Have we wrapped it up? I'm super
feel
freaking pumped right now.
We hit on a lot of stuff.
What else?
I don't want to. Huge win. Take it for what it is. We're going to enjoy it now, and look ahead. This is great playing extremely meaningful football in December. Titans.
It's been a while.
Fans, we're not used to this, and I think every single game now is pretty much the biggest game we've played this year and over the last 7 years, honestly. Mm-hmm. This was the biggest game. Now it moves to us playing Kansas City is the biggest game. Yeah.
So we'll try to Broncos fans, don't fret. We're going to do our best to take down Kansas City because you guys play Kansas City again too, so y'all can get back into that division. I know you guys have a tough schedule and it may be a long shot, but you're 8-5. You're very much in the playoff hunt still.
And they still have the 6th seed in the wild card still, as of right now. And if situations play out, this is honestly a worst case scenario as a Titans fan, and we end up winning the division and having to play the Broncos again in the wild card game.
It's going to be some bad blood.
That's Harry Douglas. You might want to stay away from that game because I don't think you'll survive.
That's all that they're going to talk about if that ends up happening. If that matchup is
our
Harry
fourth string, our fourth wide receiver versus their number one quarterback. You shouldn't even care about that stuff, man. Move on. Focus on the game. Focus on the game.
Man, Harry Douglas is not going to do anything against that secondary. He's not good enough.
No,
sorry, Harry Douglas. You're a good role player.
Harry Douglas is only active, is only dressing because Andre Johnson magically retired in the middle of
And
the year.
Kendall Wright got set.
Yeah. Before that, Harry Douglas wasn't even dressing, so go easy on him to leave. I know he was, and Harris. I know he went after your knee, but it's okay now. It's okay.
Yeah. We're all good. We're all healthy.
Big win.
Put it behind
That's
us.
about all I got left to say. Anything you got left on this game?
On this game, probably, but I'm just not thinking about it right now.
Well,
y'all
that's
should
okay.
y'all should leave a comment and we can talk about it in the comments.
Yeah.
I mean, huge game. Houston is now we're tied with Houston at 7-6 for first in the division. Colts at the moment are out of the picture.
We
Hopefully it
had
stays that way.
we had the lead in the division solely for a whole 8 minutes yesterday.
It was the best 8
We even
minutes
put
of
the
my
little
life.
put the little graphic up on screen. Tennessee in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoffs.
I took a picture of it and framed it on my wall.
It's beautiful.
It was
And
good.
then Houston beat Indy, and they took the spot back from
Such
us.
a shame.
But
So they play Cincinnati and Jacksonville. It would be super nice if we could get some extra help. But
It would.
since we have to play Kansas City and they have a very winnable games leading up to our final matchup with the Texans. But we'll see how it plays out. Super exciting, though, either way. Even if we lose out, this season has been amazing progress, and it's been a bunch of fun.
bunch of fun
to
being
be
a
relevant.
Titans fan.
Yeah.
Making splashes in the news, even if it is Harry Douglas being dirty. No, I'm just kidding. It should be the worst team in the league beat the defending Super Bowl champion. That should
And
be
we
the headline.
are trending upwards like
Yes.
crazy.
But yeah, leave if there's anything we missed, which we probably did, or if you have comments on what we commented on, leave it in the comment section. We always try to answer that. We definitely always read them. We always try to answer them if you have questions or points about what we said here and there. So we'll definitely get back to you on that. And if you want, like I said at the beginning, if you want a question answered on the video, hit us up after the game, either on Twitter, Instagram, something like that, and be like, put this on your podcast. Answer this question.
Yes.
We will do it.
We shall.
We shall.
We do this for the fans because we're fans.
I'm not a fan. I'm just kidding. I'm a fan.
I hope you're a fan.
I'm a fan.
You're doing this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, boy.
All right, so great win. Broncos, no bad blood. I'm sorry about the Chris Harris play, but I'm glad he's healthy.
We were going for you in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
man.
I have
We
nothing
wanted you
against
to
them. I
win.
like
Yeah,
the Broncos.
absolutely
I cheer
nothing.
for them most games unless it's for we need a playoff spot over them, then I'll cheer against
Yeah.
them. But I love the Broncos. I
And
think they're a
even-
great franchise, and I don't want you guys to hate us.
And even if you come to the conclusion that Harry Douglas's play was super dirty and cheap and illegal, well,
It was an
remember,
isolated
it wasn't
incident.
us making the tackle. So we wash our hands of that matter, and then you can go beat Harry Douglas's butt in Atlanta with Talib later.
Yeah, in the parking lot.
But,
Yeah. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. That is a wrap. We will start breaking down the Kansas City matchup coming up. So we'll see you in those vids. Until then, you guys have a great
Great one.
one.
Ha.
Peace.